You good?
Yeah.
What's up, everyone?
Hey, guys.
This is Ryan Krous with Kyle McCall here from GoldenGreenNews.com, just coming to you from Hughes Stadium right after CSU just blew out Wyoming 45-31 to retain the bronze boot. Second straight sellout for Hughes Stadium, second straight year CSU's blown out Wyoming. CSU moves to 7-1 for the first time since 2000. Certainly a big win. I'll let Mr. McCall over here give us his takeaways.
Another excellent passing performance from quarterback Garrett Grayson, who just continues to impress. 18-21, 390 yards and 5 scores. Really spread the ball around. Obviously, Rashard Higgins had another monster game, over 150 yards once again, 2 scores. Every time he touches it, it's almost like he's going to take it to the house on every single play.
Pretty much, yeah.
But Hughes Stadium was rocking again. A lot of pink towels flying around. A really electric environment. Maybe not on the level of the Utah State game, but the support is definitely there, and the community is really behind it, which is always nice to see. Defense played really well, especially the linebackers. Max Morgan, Aaron Davis both had huge games, double-digit tackles for both. And just an all-around solid performance. I know they were a little disappointed that maybe they let Wyoming sneak back in there at the end, but otherwise I would say B+, A- performance out there in a rivalry game, and 7-1.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on the whole game?
Yeah, absolutely. It is interesting. Mac touched on just kind of how somber the locker room was after the win. Had a huge lead and kind of let Wyoming get a couple late scores like that. So it's kind of interesting to see players not really excited beating their biggest rival right like that, just dominating them at home
to win the boot.
Right. For sure. Garrett had 4 or 5 touchdowns to 4 different receivers. So even though Hollywood's his main man, he kind of admitted he tries to look for him maybe too much, but it's working, So whether it's a 5-yard pass, it turns into an 80-yard touchdown. Like, who cares if Grayson isn't throwing all bombs when Higgins can just take it the distance. I think defensively, I was a little bit disappointed. They tackled well, but at the same time, there are a couple kind of lazy plays, a couple lazy scores that, you talk to any player that say, that was some lazy scores that they would love to take back. But overall, they played with intensity. Like you mentioned, linebackers played well. Would have liked to have seen more of a pass rush. We saw it kind of late in the game with O'Henny, Stephen Michael, Corey James had some really nice moves, but for this CSU defense to really kind of become more dominant, I'd love to see a pass rush. I think that's the one thing that's kind of missing, but it's obvious just from 3 years ago how much better this team is, just the depth and how fast they fly to the ball, they swarm. But yeah, huge win, electric environment like you touched on. Not quite as loud as Utah State, but man, CSU 7-1. Even looking at the schedule, who would have thought that coming into this year?
Would have thought 6-2 somewhere in there, but
about that, yeah.
5-3, yeah, but 7-1's good.
Yeah,
Wyoming, not a great team. I'm just gonna be honest. They had a lot of trouble moving the ball, and they got lit up over on defense, especially through the passing game. But they're well coached and they played hard. And like Coach McElwain alluded to, there's going to be some serious battles in the future for the border war once Bowl gets his players in and whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely. They just don't have the players. You look at their running game. You need a big, powerful back that's going to get you yards. Hill did all right, but they don't really have that. The quarterback looked kind of out of it. Maybe not the arm strength you want. So like you mentioned, as soon as Craig Bull gets his players, he's a heck of a coach. He's a personable guy. He's going to get his recruits, especially kind of the kids that are maybe tweeners here in state. Maybe like a Milo Hall, for example, that maybe CSU might pass on, that Wyoming's going to pick up. Could be really productive in a Craig Bull system like that. And Joe Parker, for example. So totally agree. Down the road, this team, they're going to be good. So as McElwain alluded to, it's going to be a really cool series. Very competitive moving on down the road. But
who would you give your game ball to there for that one? Obviously, Grayson had the monster game.
Yeah, gosh, I'd probably just go with Higgins. Just because 2 of those moves, there's nothing there, and he just a quick little juke and he's gone. You're like, how did that happen? Grayson didn't do anything. They just chucked it to him 3 yards away or whatever. But
to the house.
Yeah, and so he's the nation's leading receivers from a touchdown standpoint, which.
That is impressive.
I saw signs as last year fall camp that hey, this kid can be extremely good, but not leading the nation in touchdowns like that. So What about you? Who's getting
I'll
involved?
stick with the passing game and give mine to Xavier Williams with his first touchdown for the Rams.
Yeah,
big
call.
target in the slot. Finally got in the end zone. He can share it with Joe Hansley too, who also had a nice game.
Yeah.
But I was really happy to see them kind of spread the ball around a little more.
Yeah.
Because I think teams are keying in a little more on Higgins. Which,
Right.
how could they not?
Yeah.
But, all-around great performance from the passing attack.
Yeah.
The running game was solid. D. Hart, workman-like performance, but he still churned out the yards, and he's still trying to run guys over because that's what he does. But, any things you'd like to see improved going into San Jose State next week?
Just the ability to finish, I would say. I mean, it's a great team, balanced offensively, run game, passing game, defensively. Maybe create more turnovers, obviously the pass rush, but it's a balanced team. I think something I noted earlier is having a healthy Trey Jarrells is enormous. I mean, D. Hart's great, right, but having that two-headed attack like we saw week 1, that's huge for this offense moving forward. If you can have two guys like that fresh coming in that can churn out yards, and the passing game too, it's I've been kind of impressed with how much McElwain wants to use D. Hart on these long throws because the guy can catch. So that's huge. And like you mentioned, the Xavier Williams, having him in a slot, a 6'4" guy like that. We saw more Jordan Baden. He didn't see any throws go his way, but if you have guys that big moving around, Matt kind of mentioned they're moving around Higgins just so defenses can't really shift over or know exactly what side of the field he's going to be on.
Trying to hide him a little bit.
Yeah, this could be a very dangerous. I mean, it already is very dangerous, but it could get even better.
They
for
were
sure.
on tonight.
Yeah,
Had
absolutely.
a lot of time to throw too, which is huge. I mean, Utah State was constantly in the backfield last week, so to be able to sit back and find his open receivers was big for Garrett. And he was so efficient. I mean, he's playing really well.
Yeah, definitely. And Deontay Gaines too. He had
Yeah,
a little
that's
bit
a
of a
good point.
breakout game. He had that return and the longer catch. I would love to see him used more in the deep passing game on offense. I think he can catch the ball, so they just got to use him more, I think. Kevin Nutt also played quite a bit. I think he had a good game on defense, but trying to think if there's anything else I'm missing.
Yeah. Obviously, it's a big time of the year for recruiting, and we saw some of the recruits in the house tonight. You want to go ahead and talk about any of those guys?
Sure, yeah. As Kyle mentioned on the message board earlier, Tevis Bartlett was a bit of a surprise.
It was a surprise.
So I mean that's big. I don't know how it's going to translate. He's already taken officials to Oregon and CU, and Iowa's in the picture, and several other schools. So
What was it, Washington maybe?
yeah, just Pac-12.
So I'm sure
Big
this
Ten.
was an unofficial visit for him, probably?
Yes, I believe it was an unofficial.
I was surprised that he was here, just because was he here for Wyoming or was he here
Right,
for CSU?
exactly.
I mean, maybe both. He's just checking it out. But he's a very talented player, and if maybe they could get into the race for him a little bit late at the end there, who knows?
Exactly. So just having him here, that's big. I mean, seeing the atmosphere like this, beating up on the team that I thought might have been the front runner, Wyoming. So that was big. Big Frank Umu was here.
Frank Umu, heritage defensive tackle.
Yeah, he was here.
lineman, yeah.
Yep, here with a couple teammates, so that was big.
Looked like he was enjoying himself.
Yep, he's a quiet kid, but yeah, for
that's
sure.
true. What do you think? Firm to the Rams?
I think so. Yeah, he's been pretty quiet. I think, again, recruitment always picks up the last couple months after the season leading into signing day, but I think he'll stick. Colby Meeks was here on an official visit. Trying to think, BC Johnson, any other guys you spot?
I was impressed by the size of Colby Meeks. He's
Yeah.
a big kid, and he definitely looks like a D1 lineman. Just to see him on the sidelines, electric atmosphere and all those. Dr. Phillips, former teammates, I guess,
Right.
of his. So, yeah, I think
Yeah.
he'll definitely end up here.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, big crop of kids coming here, but Meeks was the only official visitor here. So we'll have more on that front. We'll talk to those kids tomorrow here
That's good.
and get you guys covered on that front. So
Got anything else?
I don't know. It's exciting. Just 7-1. There's obviously if you don't live here in Fort Collins, I guess just trying to describe it, it's just a total different vibe. I mean, maybe if you're here during the sunny Lubick years, you can relate. But just since Lubick left under Fairchild and then the first couple years of McElwain, just totally different, kind of a apathetic kind of feeling really outside of the program here in the city. But now it's just like during the week, just random people that don't even care about sports talking about CSU or wearing CSU stuff. You got CSU flags flying out of the cars, like sold out Hughes Stadium for 2 straight weeks. I mean, who could have seen that coming? Yeah, so it's exciting to cover a team that It's finally starting to break through and do some big things.
I think too, it's going to be good. All the success on the field and building up the culture of it. I think it's going to have big payout for recruiting in the future.
Yeah.
And I think we're starting to see it already with some of the kids that maybe are favoring them,
Yeah.
especially in state. So.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something I noticed too. Is not that there weren't a lot of kids coming here on unofficial visits here the last couple of years, but I think more so this year. There's just a bigger group of kids that just like sitting at this corner over here. It's just like, oh wow, it's noticeably bigger. It's
an event now. They want to
yeah.
go to the CSU game.
It's almost like, are they? I mean, not to bring CU into this and compare it, but sometimes if the games are going on at the same time, it's like, oh, these kids are coming to CSU as opposed to CU, and did you really see that in the past? Probably not. So for CSU, it's pretty exciting for them, I'd say. So
definitely.
Yeah. Well, I think that'll about do it. Again, we'll have you guys covered more tomorrow in the coming days here with recruiting stuff and analysis and things like that. But from Hughes Stadium, I am Ryan Krous.
Kyle McCall.
Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Good job, buddy.
Dude, you did a good job.
Oh, Tevis texted me back.
What did he say?
Yeah.